welcome to another episode of the Herd Main Show. I'm your herd leader, John Wayne.
And I'm your herd mom, Megan.
And we are coming to you on a Monday this week because today, Monday, is May 4th.
It's the very special day. It's my brother Ryan's birthday.
Well,
that's what
the
makes
day
it
we're
special.
recording it.
No,
or is
tomorrow.
it Monday? Oh,
Yeah.
He got an early birthday.
Yes.
That punk.
Because it's the only day that we were all
No,
available.
it doesn't matter because of Ryan. It matters because of Star Wars.
You're right. He's
That's
not the favorite.
That's what everything comes down to is Star Wars.
Yeah.
And so it's May 4th. It's a special little day for us nerds and whatnot. And it's the day that they try and sell us a whole bunch of stuff. And they try and put out a whole bunch of cool news and all kinds of stuff happen.
Try and succeed.
Yeah. So we wanted to jump in on the madness but do it casually. And kind of just go back to something. We did Q&As very early on and had a lot of fun with those as their own episodes and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
That was back when we did 5-day content, and that did not last very long. So we kind of just looked at each other a couple weeks ago, I think.
We look at each other a lot. We are married.
Very true. And we were just like, hey, let's do something chill and casual for May 4th. And we just happened to settle on doing a Q&A. And we've got some Q's, and you're going to get some A's while you're here.
Mm-hmm.
We got a pretty good response to questions. Some interesting, some very proby, very typical proby, like, where's your nerd credit at? Others are very, very different and very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll definitely be an interesting episode for sure. But again, just something casual, something for you to listen to in your May 4th madness or your Revenge of the 5th madness, whenever you decide to celebrate.
And one more thing before we get super started.
Fine. It's okay. I don't have an order to this at all.
No, it's fine. I needed to remind you of something.
Okay.
Justin told me. Hi, Justin. He reminded me that you're going to fist fight Elijah Wood.
Yes.
And I want to know if you're still in on that.
Is that your cue for the day? You only get one.
John, are you going to fist fight Elijah Wood anytime
I am
soon?
going to punch that hobbit in the face. I dare him to come on the show so I can punch him in the face.
I dare him to come on the show so that I can just
I'm pretty sure Dominic
Wood.
Monaghan would set it up if I asked. Not enough.
Maybe. There was a whole thing where he was going to fight Billy Boyd. So I don't know. Maybe he'll fight you.
Hey, there you go. I mean, he's the least favorite hobbit. I mean,
whoa!
Come on.
Whoa!
Of course he is.
They're all the favorite
hobbit. You've got Merry, you've got Pippin, even Merry and Pippin. Come on. Who likes Frodo? Gandalf.
Bilbo.
And what has his good judgment gotten us?
A lot.
Not a lot, actually.
Okay. That's my cue for the day, and
there
I guess I got my
Yes,
A.
I am still willing and able to fight a hobbit, specifically if that hobbit is Elijah Wood. And you know what? I mean, somebody's got to put him in his place. He's really gotten some.
He's had it too good for too long.
He's really gotten it good lately, and somebody's got to bring him down to size again.
You know what would be funny? If we actually advertised, hey, Elijah Wood's going to be on the show, and just Daniel Radcliffe comes out of nowhere.
Yes, that would be amazing.
That would be very funny.
So yes, and also shout out to Justin. He really enjoyed our the Rise of Skywalker episode, which was really cool because we were not nearly 100% on that.
It.
So yeah, I mean, and even still, we're not entirely 100% with everything going on, but we're still putting out content, which is hence why we wanted to do something fun and casual, and we put it out there to a lot of our Star Wars friends and everything, and so we're looking forward to shouting them out. And thank you everyone that sent in questions. I think we've gotten everybody. If we happen to miss and yours doesn't show up here, it is not on purpose at all. I was just tired probably.
Yeah.
But hit us up if we missed you, because we'll definitely still A your queue.
Can we
start?
Not say it like that?
No, that's the only way to say it.
Okay.
So in no particular order at all, what I figured I would do is, again, just because there's such a wide array, I thought would be interesting is I'll go through the questions and let you take first bat, and then and then I'll pick it up from there. Like Elijah Wood, I'll let you hit him first, and then I'll go in for the kill.
I don't want to hit Elijah Wood.
You do. Everyone wants to hit Elijah Wood deep down. Look at his face.
It's beautiful.
Everybody wants to hit
He was the good
Elijah
son.
Of the Woods?
No. Have you never seen that movie?
No. What
The
movie?
Good Son. It's him and Macaulay Culkin.
Wait. In Macaulay Culkin's the evil one, right?
Yes.
There's a cliff in that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Did Elijah Wood die? No, he was the good one?
He was the good son.
Dang it. I was rooting for Macaulay Culkin, and I've never even seen the movie.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know. Elijah Wood, probably. All right. So starting off, we've got good friend of the show, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Ryan Bullock. He asked, what Star Wars live-action or animated series would you like to see be made? It can be any era, brand new, or characters we already know. This is interesting because, Clone Wars is wrapping up the day this releases. And right now we have no confirmed animation Star Wars projects on the horizon. And that's new for us in the past 10 years. So lot could happen with that.
Well, honestly, I'd like an aftermath kind of story, but instead of after the Empire, I'd like an after the Clone Wars kind of thing. Like, instead of going around with the Jedi that we know, like Cal Kestis and Kanan and all of our lovely friends, instead of stories that we already kind of know, why not we, John? Why not a story of some clones? Like, have Wolf dealing with the fact that he killed his probably best friend.
He didn't do it.
No, but he gave the order.
No, Sidious directly transmitted into, I think his name's Jag, the clone pilot that shoots Plo down is not.
Oh.
I mean, he's part of Wolfpack, sure, but he's not. Yeah.
Well then, still.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing because
also his
Wolf
name
was
is Jag.
I think I don't want to confirm or deny, but I believe his name is Jag. But it wasn't actually Wolf because Wolf's not a pilot. He was probably on the ground somewhere.
But point still stands.
No, I think that's really interesting.
Or even just members of the Republic.
We've got Bad Batch now.
Exactly.
They're out there. We just
Echo.
Yeah, we just got into them right before Order 66. So it's one of those things. It would be really interesting in general.
Do you think Solid Snake got the call?
I don't know. There's the question out there of, since they're defective and, quote unquote, would they operate the same? Is there a chance that they didn't have one? I don't know. It's really interesting. They didn't serve with Jedi typically. Yeah. So, it's one of those interesting things where it's they could have easily gone without, but I don't. Yeah. The transition from Clone Wars to Empire is definitely interesting from a soldier's perspective. Yeah. So I think that would make for good storytelling in general.
Yeah. If Anno was still alive, his story would be interesting.
Anno? Uncle Anno?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anaconda 4. His Anaconda don't.
It definitely don't.
He's dead now, so it don't.
I would like a live action. So you're going animated.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair.
Or live action. I don't know.
I feel like you can do a lot more with animation.
Nah, just Tamara Morrison just running around doing stuff.
Yeah. I think there's a lot more possibilities with animation with that sort of scale.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd love a live action. I think I've said this before, but something like with Palpatine. I would like a Palpatine series detailing sort of his grooming and rise to power and how he got into the political field. Obviously dealing with training with Plagueis and all this other stuff. I'd really love, and I know 2, maybe 3 seasons. Sure. I don't care if it's limited or long, but I would just love to fill in some of those gaps. And because Palpatine prior to episode 1 is not very explored. So I think that would be really good grounds for a little mini series. And you can do a good small cast of characters. You don't need a whole lot to that.
Matt Smith.
Ideally.
Yeah. Where was he?
Huh? Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. I feel like he was a character that might have gotten cut unless he might have been that thing that was in the swamp, or there's a lot of cut stuff that we didn't get to see play out. So when he joined or was rumored to join, there's no telling where they were in terms of what was going to be in the final film.
I'm just happy that Lin-Manuel Miranda was there.
Right, because he took a lunch break at the right time, apparently.
He did.
That is a really good one. I think we both kind of already had good ideas of that, because just based on what our interests are.
Yeah, because we just talk.
Yeah.
Because we're married.
I think there's plenty more. I mean, you could do something with the Sith. You could do something, Indiana Jones style thing with Luke after Episode 6, where he's hunting Jedi stuff. Like there's a lot. It
belongs in a museum.
Yeah, basically. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, and I really do hope that Star Wars animation doesn't go anywhere. I feel like there would not be the current Star Wars without Star Wars animation. So. Yeah. I definitely feel like we have to be getting something down the road. What it is a very, very good question, because we've always had a show that's tied to a greater conflict. Clone Wars, the Rebellion, Resistance. So it'll be interesting. I mean, both of ours are similarly small scale, but still connected to the bigger picture. So it'd be interesting to see them tackle something like that versus a pretty cut and dry of soldiers and fighting and war, you know.
Well, because we love stories about people.
Exactly. Well, and luckily they're good at making, and it's not to criticize one over the other, but it's, I mean, they clearly give personality to people, even with the war aspect. So, I mean, that's the thing, is Star Wars animation is just such great storytelling. There has to be plenty of it in the future of Star Wars for sure. Shannon Smith. I like their most of these come from Twitter, by the way. It's at ScuttleButterSS.
That's amazing.
I love that. It's a play on military slang, and it's also just scuttlebutters.
Just the word scuttle and the word butt and the word butters.
Exactly.
Just delightful words.
They asked, this is a little bit more of a nerdy deep cut. Do you think Stephen Daldry, who wrote the script for Kenobi when it was going to be a movie, will have any credit on the show?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one, because it just depends on how much is retained.
The movie biz is...
Yeah, I mean, they could have scrapped everything as soon as they started looking at a show. But, I mean, usually when they adapt for writing, as long as things are in good terms, they tend to be like, oh, it was also, written by this person and this person. They kind of cite who had involvement.
Yeah. They tend to have like a special thanks.
I mean, that whole stuff is just still so shrouded in mystery. And honestly, I haven't really dwelt on it very much.
No.
So, I mean, it would be interesting. I'm always interested yet weary of the possibilities. So, for instance, like with The Rise of Skywalker, I was very intrigued by the original script stuff. It was really interesting to see how someone else would have done it.
Giant baby.
What?
Giant baby head with an oracle on it.
Well, I mean, that was in.
That was delightful. Can I just say?
It is interesting when you give Star Wars to someone and see what they do with it. And so I'm always intrigued to know what someone else would have done. But again, I try not to let that affect like what actually happened.
Yeah.
It's purely out of weird interest. So, I mean, down the road, that would be something I'd love to kind of see, is what different people would have done. I mean, we have a really good novel out there of Kenobi. If not necessarily my favorite interpretation of Kenobi during his isolation, it's still a pretty solid book back from the original era of Star Wars books and whatnot. It's no longer canon, but it's one of those things where it's like you give this character to somebody and see what they do with it. It's interesting sometimes.
And if you're a comic fan, like we are, you get to kind of see that play out sometimes with characters like Superman and Batman and Captain Marvel.
I mean
and stuff like
that's
that.
why there's so many multiverses or different interpretations. I mean, we were literally just talking about it with Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles earlier today,
because that's what we talk about,
right?
Because we're 8 years old.
Yeah, different shows by different people for different periods and different audiences have different results. So
exactly.
So to answer your question, I don't know. But I'm intrigued to see the differences / comparisons.
Yeah.
It's always interesting. Back to Ryan Bullock. He said, "What would your job or role and where would you like to work in the Star Wars galaxy?" He says he would love to work at Dex's Diner. Seems like a great place to work. I agree. He seems like Dex would be a great boss.
Good hugs.
He would teach me tell lots of stories.
Tell you about his cousin, Palmer.
And I would teach him to shower because I don't feel like he does it.
No.
He doesn't look like it.
He does not.
So, job and where you'd like to work. I guess one could influence the other. I mean, the power of light speed travel means I could live on Kashyyyk and work on Coruscant, I guess. But
it'd be like a 15-minute drive.
Pretty much, which is what it is now, kind of.
Yeah. Golly, this is hard. Have you thought about this?
No, I'm literally experiencing it with you.
Okay. Well, I've said before, I think I would like to be a senator in the Star Wars universe because, stuff's going down, man. And, I'd like to think that I could help the Outer Rim planets.
I mean, it's a very logical approach.
Yeah.
I mean, so that would mean you're working on and living on Coruscant, I guess.
Yeah. Living far away from Tatooine.
So what would be the most Kentucky planet to hail
Tatooine!
Oh, gosh. So you would be from Tatooine, but you would be a senator on Coruscant. That's cool.
With the idea of bringing the Outer Rim planets in.
Yeah, totally. I mean, a very logical approach, a very, knowing me, what would I do in the galaxy far, far away kind of approach. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
You've said before that you'd like to be a bounty hunter. Is that still true? I
kind of, with a lot more addition to Mandalorian lore, I'd kind of...
Mandalore, yes.
Yeah, the Mandalore. I kind of feel like I'd have some sort of affiliation with that because I love and identify a lot with a lot of the Mandalorian ideals and whatnot, but I feel like I'd almost be a non-terrorist version of Death Watch. I feel like I'd be one of those people of, playing both sides in terms of I get what you're saying that we should be all peaceful and weapons down and all this other stuff, and I get what you're saying in that we should be more forward and be more self-reliant. But I feel like I would be the one in the middle.
What era of Mandalore?
Definitely pre-Clone Wars. I feel like I would fit in with the era just before the shift.
So, do you think we would still be married?
I'd like possibly. To think so. Yeah, I would like to think so.
I would like to. Think so,
too. I think that would totally work out. Where I'm living it up on Mandalore and trying to get these people to get their stuff together, and you're, busting butts in the Senate and making stuff happen.
I would be the one when Palpatine calls for emergency powers, no! Grandpa, sit down!
Exactly. Pizza and Parsecs, a cool podcast out there who has some fun little shows. We highly recommend you check it out. They're a fun little group, and they've been super supportive lately, and so we really appreciate them.
Very sweet.
And their question first, love the show. Thank you.
Thanks.
What 1 to 2 characters in a universe would you like to be quarantined with, and why? What would you do with them to pass the time? Example, Monopoly with Grievous, Settlers of Catan with Nappa and Vegeta.
Heck yes.
Hey, Vegeta.
Hey, Vegeta.
You want your sheep? And oh my gosh. Wow. This is what I was looking forward to. I was really trying to emphasize you don't have to stick to Star Wars.
Exactly. Okay. I have my 2.
Okay, go right ahead.
Because
1 to 2.
I glanced in the direction of our pop figures.
Okay.
And I immediately thought, yes.
Okay.
Okay, number 1 is Dr. Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Because it's Jeff Goldblum.
Okay.
Just Jeff Goldbluming it up.
Uh-huh.
And life finds a way.
Okay.
And then number 2 would be Jaskier from The Witcher.
Okay.
Or Dandelion.
And what would you do with them to pass time?
I don't know, man. Bro out. Just like, hey, play us some tunes. You know that one about the toss and coin?
I feel like nothing would get done.
Especially not after that baking video that Joey Beatty made.
You know what, though?
That would be what we would do.
I would not mind sitting down for a warm beverage with Jeff Goldblum. I have come around.
Absolutely not. After, I love that man.
After watching that Disney Plus show.
He is my dad.
I would be okay with picking his brain. I feel like it'd be very, very interesting to talk to that man.
It would be a very long conversation.
But he's not a character.
Just Jeff Goldblum. That's why I picked
I would like to play
a game.
I would like to play a game. I'd like to play Werewolf with Palpatine.
Oh, gosh.
And Dr. Facilier.
Yes. I like how we both use the tactic of looking at the pop figures.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, we've got a rainbow of characters over there to choose from.
I feel like they would both be like very hard to read.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That would be the great part about it.
It's like, Palpatine, are you a werewolf?
Right. Like I picked the 2 biggest liars and whatnot that I could think of. So
Dr. Facilier, if you don't know, is from he's the bad guy from Princess and the Frog.
Yes.
My favorite Disney villain.
I was doing a Guess Who game with someone recently, and I picked Dr. Facilier, and people are starting to learn my taste because they were pretty quick to figure out who it was.
Yes.
So one of my favorite villains from Disney for sure.
Oh yeah. Who's your favorite?
You're putting me on the spot here.
I am. Dun, 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 dun.
I don't know.
Because mine are...
I've always kind of left it up to one of my favorites just because I've never actually gone through and really thought hard about the best villain in my interpretation.
My opinion is the better your song is, the more I like you as a villain. So Oogie Boogie and Dr. Facilier are my 2 favorites.
There you go.
And then closely followed by...
technically counts now.
He does.
So
that's a technicality, babe.
It works. So thank you, Pizza and Parsecs, for that good question. Holo Chronicles podcast, another great podcast.
What's
friend.
up?
So was the Trade Federation actually justified in their blockade on Naboo? I love this kind of morality stuff.
Technically, no.
Technically, yes. Debating.
You don't cut off someone's food supply and their ability to leave their planet just because they won't sign a freaking peace treaty with you.
Sure you do.
Not when you're the only source of stuff in the freaking planet.
I mean, they're a large supplier of it. I mean, basically what they did, the better question is, was it right or wrong, and were they justified in upping the taxes of trade routes? Probably not. But because they did raise the taxes and because Naboo refused to pay, they were justified in basically just shutting down the account and basically just like, okay, well, you're not getting anything. You're not doing anything. I mean, that's the whole reason Palpatine did it, is because technically there's a reason for it. There is an argument to be had for blockading Naboo. So, I mean, it was very typical in terms of, hey, you owe me something, so you're not getting you're not getting your shopping cart until you pay this debt.
You owe me $15, so I'm just going to blockade the kitchen.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, there's argument to be had that they had justification. Yeah. Again, the better question is their justification in upping the taxes in the first place, because they knew they could not pay them. And that's the thing. Depending on what you take them to court for is whether or not you actually get a case. Because if you take them to court for their blockade, which is what Padme did, there's not real argument, which is why the Senate was so quick to be like, well, probably not a, cut and dry answer. Mm-hmm. Now, if she had gone in and said, hey, they're upping the tax routes and they're making it so that, I mean, here's our living wages. Here's what they're demanding. Clearly, these don't add up. That's, unjustifiable. Oh, you know what? Math. That supports your argument.
Math.
That's two very different cases of
Shake
the
a
Phantom
stick
Menace.
at God.
So
Math.
if only Padme had been a little bit more sly in her approach, then the Phantom Menace could have gone very differently.
And that's why I would be a senator and you would be a free agent, because you're coming out with math.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was that was just full on debate mode. I mean, you can argue any way you want. Now, but again, I mean, it depends on what you come out from.
Yeah.
Now, she was coming at it from a plea of the heart, so that's not the best plea in the Senate. So, but again, logic would have won a lot faster, even for a senator that wasn't very highly respected at that point in her career. So, well, not senator, but a monarch, I guess.
Yes. She was a monarch at the time.
So there you go. That's another really good one. I like stuff like that. I like the whole,
you big nerd.
What is this justified? Is this okay? Because it changes a very big formula of the films and things that we enjoy when you wait, what if this had gone a little differently? What if, so it's really interesting.
Did Mace Windu have a warrant?
He did not. So technically, again, stand your ground law right there.
Basically.
And that was Palpatine's whole thing was, I mean, he was going to work them into a corner where they either did something and it was bad, or they didn't do something and it was still bad.
Yeah.
That is why Papa Palpatine rules the galaxy.
That's why you go and play werewolf with him.
All right. So now I'm going to alternate between a couple because, again, I kind of just have them listed as they came in, and rather than just harp on again, we, put out there 1, 2, 5, however many questions you got, whatever you can think of, just hit us up with it. So some of our friends did take us up on that. So we'll bounce back and forth just to make sure to kind of mix it up a little bit. So starting off with our friend Brady. Hi, Brady.
Hi, Brady.
So in your opinion, what is the best order to watch? And I love that, in your opinion. So this is a very subjective
there is no definitive
answer. What is your best order to watch all the movies, including Solo and Rogue One? So all of it.
All of it.
What's your preferred approach to viewing order?
Chronological.
So
personally,
1 to 9.
1 to 9. Like, that's how I've always done it. Well, not always, because we had a little bit missing there for a good bit. But I'll even throw the Clone Wars in there. You watch 1 and 2, Clone Wars 3.
Like the whole show?
Like the whole show.
Oh, dang.
Whole show, baby.
I mean, I recently...
Same for wussies.
Yeah. I recently shared a canon list with a friend that basically compiles literally everything from beginning to end. Comics, books, TV show, literally everything in chronological order.
And then 4, and then the holiday special, and then 5.
No, canon only.
Come on.
I
Butcher your friends.
Do believe it is worth... I think it's worth it for every fan, and this isn't my answer necessarily, but this is just my kind of soapbox. I think it's worth it for every fan to venture into exploring the fullness of canon to really round things out. So like you said, checking out the shows, especially if you've got kids. So Brady, you and your younglings watching, I guarantee the boys would love Clone Wars.
Yes, they would.
I'm pretty sure Rissa would love Resistance.
Forces of Destiny.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's so much to be able to enjoy, and I think it's really worth it to explore your interests in the fullness of canon. Not necessarily just for trivia's sake, but just for enjoying it. That's where a lot of certain questions get answered, is from this, that, and the other, but also it's just a matter of you get to spend more time with characters you really enjoy. You get to explore aspects of the storytelling that you really enjoy. So, I mean, I really think it's worth it to get into everything. So I do agree that at some point you got to insert other things. Give it a chance. I'm not saying if you don't like it, push yourself through it. It's completely, you did this. You tried Clone Wars and you didn't like it, and then tried it again and you love it.
Yeah, that's because we watched it in chronological order.
It does help. But even still, you never know how you change as a person.
Yeah.
I didn't always like the holiday special. I can appreciate it now. I really can. And that's not me trying to be, a Disney shill. That's me being honest in that I can sit and enjoy watching that movie.
Entertaining is different than good.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not 100%. Defending its quality, but
Jefferson Starship shows up.
Yeah. So that to say, I definitely think that it's worth it. Mm-hmm. I mean, on a totally unrelated note to this question, I definitely think it's so worth it to explore further into canon and all the other things that Star Wars has to offer. Taking just the movies, I am still a big believer in, I mean, it depends on the context, and I've kind of always said that. So whenever I think of this, because it doesn't matter to me, I've seen everything and I love everything, so I kind of just watch it however I want to watch it.
Yeah,
but I always think of it in the context of this question as showing it to my kids, because that's the only time I can think of it that it would matter to me.
Sitting Boba up in a high chair.
Yeah. Yes. So in that context, I'm still a big believer in starting with the original trilogy. I'm still a big believer in starting with episode 4, 5, and 6.
Because that's how we did it.
Yeah, and I think that there's a difference to how you experience the story, whether or not you know who Darth Vader is. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that that's the biggest thing that the whole saga hinges on, but I think it really challenges your thought process when you start this series. If hopefully you love it, you start the series loving the good guys. You love Luke Skywalker. You love Leia and Han Solo and all of these great characters, and you hate Darth Vader because bad. And okay, he did that one good thing in the end, so it's a happy ending. But then you go back, and all of a sudden this character you've been built up to hate that kind of did one good thing in the end. Wait, now he's the Luke Skywalker of the story. Mm-hmm. He's the one I love. I feel like it really pushes your morality, it pushes your character and your thought processes as a young person to go through those challenges of, whoa, wait, do I really know what good versus bad is in the bigger picture?
I mean, that's part of why Star Wars was kind of an out there concept for me for a long time, was in Star Trek, the good guys are good, the bad guys are bad.
Yeah.
The Romulans.
Star Wars is very, it's about your point of view and your perspective.
And connecting the character of Darth Vader with the character of Anakin Skywalker was so hard for me going from the original trilogy to prequels.
I would take it as original trilogy, then watch the prequels.
Yes.
And then go to the sequels. And then watch the side stories. And that's not to say that Rogue One and Solo are any lesser than.
They deserve to be appreciated on their own.
Exactly. I don't feel that although they are a part of the Skywalker saga, that they directly affect the greater Skywalker story that's trying to be told.
Yes.
With that, I feel like they have to be on their own when you're first experience. And again, I'm only coming from the perspective of showing it to my kids. So I'm thinking of this as the big, all right, this is the moment. This is your, big, whether or not we ship you back or not.
No, not being shipped back.
This is the one. So I'm thinking of it in the context of how do I want them to experience this in a way that I think will matter and be exciting and emotional and all of that stuff. So original trilogy, prequel trilogy, sequel trilogy, and side stories is my answer. It's a little convoluted, but after that you can do whatever you want.
Before you watch Solo, you have to watch at least one episode of Clone Wars, though.
I already made my case for, I think after you fall in love with it, go and watch everything. Yeah. Watch everything, read everything, buy everything.
At the end of Solo, when you're like, wait, what? He's dead?
Exactly. Can you imagine what it's like for people that just watch the movies for that?
Yeah, I can.
Well,
because I had a conversation with my brother about it.
Yeah, true. There you go.
It's how is he alive? I don't get it.
All right, so really good one there, Brady. Moving on to another friend of ours, Michael Johnson. By the way, if you like Disney, and if you like nerdy Disney history, and also just listening to people talk about things they love, our friend Michael has a podcast, Soaring with the Disney Dog. It is also on Anchor and soon to be on Apple Podcasts. So definitely recommend you check it out. He talks about Main Street in his first couple of episodes, both in its older history and coming into now, both on both sides of Main Street and everything. And so it's really interesting because it's this just kind of time capsule of, and being someone who's only recently become a big Disney fan and going to Disney, it's really interesting to travel through what it was when it first opened and all that stuff. So do our friend a favor, go check out that if you love Disney and all that good stuff. So
this is kind of a side, but like I think I know the exact moment when you became a Disney person.
Oh yeah, it's when I saw the First Order marching down Hollywood Boulevard.
The way that your face just like lit up.
Oh yeah,
I knew like, oh yep, we're Disney people
that was
now.
the moment it all became real, and it was amazing.
You can feel however you want about Disneyland or Disney World, but at the same time, there are people who hold it very close.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, as we've said with stuff, I mean, we recently talked about it with Luke Skywalker's character in The Last Jedi, Rey's character in Episode 9. It's stuff where it's always going to be special and important to other people, and if you don't get it, that's fine. Yeah. But it is what it is.
I will never be able to replicate the same joy that I feel watching animatronic bears jerk around on stage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Michael asked, how did Maz Kanata end up with Luke's lightsaber?
Big magnet.
Big magnet. You asked this at a really interesting time because the Star Wars main series comics has just started getting into this time period, into the period right after the events of Episode 5. It literally, the first panel opens up with Luke getting his hand cut off, and we know now somebody was waiting down there and grabbed his lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea who that is yet.
His name was Big Magnet.
Big Magnet.
Big Magnet.
We don't know who that is yet. And right now, Star Wars Comics is kind of on a pause. So we're waiting for Star Wars Comics to come back around after the Rona passes and whatnot.
Excuse me, the Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
Yes. But we are getting to the story of that. Maybe not entirely, but we do know somebody got his lightsaber on Bespin. And between there and Maz, it's a little bit easier now to kind of put together. Because if it had just fallen and was just gone and then all of a sudden appeared, that's a very different thing. But knowing someone was there and grabbed it, it's a little bit different. So he's currently actually in the Star Wars comics looking for his lightsaber. So that's actually a current plot point.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll have an answer for that question at a later date.
Yeah.
Moving on to friend of the show and valued patron, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Jim Capron. He asks, in an age of criticism, sarcasm, and cynicism, where cynicism, in an age where cynicism, criticism, sarcasm, Jim, all right, next time, not so many big words, because apparently I can't read. Negative mindsets are prevalent in the fandom. How do you maintain your love and passion for things in Star Wars that are really important to you, but aren't the most popular or it seems like everyone else has the opposite opinion of you? That's a very deep, good question.
It's a very
Jim question.
It's a very Jim question. I love it. My answer is not a very deep answer.
Okay.
It's a very surface level, answer.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't follow those people.
That's fair.
I actively stay away from the drama. That's why my pinned tweet is current, I think my pinned tweet is still not bothered to Star Wars.
Probably.
Because honestly, I don't have the mental capacity to deal with that.
Fair.
I don't necessarily want to get involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I stay away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I do see that stuff, I just become the dude and just like, that's your opinion, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, chill.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think there's still depth to that because it takes a lot of self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes down to,
self-aware.
You put out what you get put in, and what you connect yourself to is ultimately what kind of feeds into you.
Yeah.
So I do think it's sound and good advice to say, disconnect from that kind of negativity.
Yeah. And it's not that you're going to miss news. You're going to miss people.
Right.
Honestly, you're going to miss the negativity.
Well, where you disconnect from the negativity, I think that opens you to connect with positivity. And that's the great thing about the Star Wars fandom is there are so many people, Jim included, who are people that make Star Wars better by being the kinds of fans that they are. So I don't think it's ever a loss if something is damaging or threatening to your joy of something, even as simple and silly as Star Wars, but anything, if anything threatens your joy, you're not missing out by cutting that off, by separating yourself from that negativity.
The only thing I watch or consume to get angry at other people's opinions is Watch Mojo. Honestly.
Apparently, yeah.
I get so angry.
Me and Jim actually talked about, so one of the things he does is like he thoughtfully pushes himself to journal something he enjoys and that brings him joy. And that's something I do with work, not necessarily with Star Wars, but I agreed in the value of purposefully thinking about positivity creates positivity.
It's intentional.
Exactly. So outside of that, I kind of take a similar approach to you in terms of I just try not to be bothered with it. So it's less of completely disconnect from it, but I kind of go through this sort of thoughtful, kind of this act of mentally letting go. Because even if I blocked a person, even if I unfollowed a person, even if I stopped talking to a person, I'm the type of person mentally to still have those conversations. And so I still upset. So for me, it's much more in my head that I have to walk through the process of letting go. And so I guess in a way I do what Jim talks about in terms of one of the ways that I combat negativity in general with my mental health is with positivity. So when I have an intrusive negative thought, I battle that with a intentional positive thought. And so it's one of these things where, it's just I choose to focus and stay thoughtful on the positive things. And that's why I watch The Phantom Menace so much. It's a very happy movie to me. And so usually that's my feel-good movie if I, just plop down and watch that. But in general, when I get that hankering for, I want to do this thing because it makes me happy, I just do it. When I want to watch a certain episode or when I want to read a certain thing or when I want to, think about a certain thing, I even sometimes just pull up Wikipedia pages of certain characters or things that I enjoy. And this is much more specific to Star Wars, obviously, but it's just feeding that positivity. So, and you can apply that to anything, really. And I think you should apply that to anything because if you see that sort of negativity and joy-stealing nature in your love of Star Wars, as insignificant, and I am saying that, as insignificant as Star Wars is, that more than likely will show up in the rest of your life. So you have to apply the battle of positivity across the board in your life, I think. And Star Wars is just a part of that.
And I'll be honest, I came to this approach from my natural life of, dealing with negativity daily. Sometimes from my own brain, is you stop the thought process in its tracks.
Absolutely.
And you say, I don't have time for this. I value myself more than this.
Right.
So therefore, I'm going to go watch Jeff Goldblum prance around for a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you just have to give yourself over to what does. I mean, as cheesy as it is, I know it was made into such memes and silliness, but you have to give yourself over to what sparks joy.
Exactly.
What does bring you joy? If it doesn't, guess what? Goodwill can have it.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
No, absolutely.
It's got to be that simple. Now, is that difficult sometimes? Yes, absolutely. Especially if you have personal relationships with certain people that are growing more negative and everything. But you have to value your sanity and joy, whether that's Star Wars or in general, more than you value anyone and anything else.
Exactly.
And that's not selfish. At the end of the day, there's nothing you should abusively put yourself through so that you can endure certain relationships, even though they steal your joy and like it's
exactly. There's
it's,
people that are not worth it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the same logic of, well, they're family, so I have to put up with it, and
you don't.
No, yeah, you literally don't. And so it's the same logic of your mental health, your state of mind, and your state of being, on very deep levels, is very, very important, and you have to treat it like that.
Exactly.
And that's what's so great about having friends like Jim and so many of the others that are a part of this episode and a part of our Twitter and Instagram and Facebook communities. Having those people sparks joy for us. And that's specifically why we do Nerd Herder and all of that. And so, just give yourself over to positivity.
Yeah.
Be intentional, be purposeful. Hopefully you're enjoying this extended May 4th episode. We are enjoying it. Good conversations come from good questions from good friends and fans and whatnot.
You're a good friend.
So back to Brady. His last one started a really good conversation. So let's see. Who is your favorite? Oh gosh. Who is your favorite hero in the entire Star Wars universe and why?
Darth Maul.
No.
Because he tried to warn folks.
No, that's not how heroes work.
Okay. All right.
Cool,
now, ladies.
Cool.
Yeah, cool beans. Let me tell you about these trucks.
Pardon me?
I can't finish that quote. So yes.
Favorite hero in the entire Star Wars universe?
Captain Rex.
Okay. Why?
Because he is loyal.
Mm-hmm.
He is intentional.
Okay.
He fights for what he believes in.
Yes.
What other Hufflepuff terms can I think of? He's a Hufflepuff is what I'm trying to say.
Stop trying to make him a Hufflepuff.
Rex is a Hufflepuff.
Okay.
There will be people that will back me up on this.
Sure,
he's brave and true. Okay. That's great.
Can he find things?
Hufflepuffs are very good finders, John.
Okay, apparently.
He found Anakin.
He
found Ahsoka.
There you go, apparently.
But yeah, I think Rex is definitely my favorite, hero in Star Wars. Because he is constantly okay, this is an issue. This is a problem. How can I fix this problem while also preserving the lives of my friends as much as possible?
Mm-hmm.
And also, he's just compassionate.
Mm-hmm.
Like a Hufflepuff.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Rex is a Hufflepuff, 2020.
There you go. I like it. This is a hard one.
Yeah. Should I talk more about how Rex is a Hufflepuff and Cody's a Slytherin?
You're good.
Wolf's a Gryffindor.
I think now I'm thinking about it. Stop. We'll sort clones into their appropriate houses at another date.
Anakin's.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I just got to go with what I'm thinking now. I mean, we're taking these questions right now. I've seen every one of them beforehand, but I have not thought of them.
Exactly.
So I got to just go with
ability to do that.
Yeah. So I just got to go with first thought was Luke, surprisingly. And if that's surprising, or if it's surprising that it's surprising, I guess you got to go watch our the Last Jedi character dive and whatnot. Just because I was never a big fan of Luke Skywalker compared to others.
Mm-hmm.
Cool character and all that stuff, but growing up, I didn't want to be Luke Skywalker. And yet, I grew up to be very Luke Skywalker. So I think that for me is why I like his character, especially his later journey.
Mm-hmm.
Just because his greater struggles happen after he reaches a certain point of, in his own words, legendary status. And I think that he is, like all Skywalkers, very flawed. And I identify with all of the Skywalker boys. Really, I do.
All two of them.
At different phases.
Oh, well. No, there's a third. Never mind.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he's a solo, but still Skywalker. I I feel like they all represent different phases in my life. And I guess I just feel very Luke in these past few years. And so I love Luke for the flawed hero that he is, and that in spite of being Luke Skywalker, he's still not perfect. He still doesn't always do the right thing initially, but he does always turn around and make it right. And there's no way that I can separate my love of Star Wars from that, just iconic sunset scene and whatnot. And I mean, just for feels, there's this one YouTube video by The Negotiator. I've shared many a time that it's Luke Skywalker retrospectively in his last moments going through his journey, and he, where he begins and ends in his greatest moments is with that sunset. And so I think of that in terms of, I don't necessarily feel like I'm there yet, but I look forward to a day I can look at the sunset with peace and purpose.
And then I'm going to have to clean up your empty clothes.
Exactly.
Just
and there
be
you go. Ugh. So Luke Skywalker, there you go.
There you go.
Deep answer, but hopefully it's not. I mean, you never know what you're going to get with me.
No.
You never know.
It's either going to be Luke Skywalker or Qui-Gon Jinn.
There you go. I do love Qui-Gon Jinn.
I know you love Qui-Gon Jinn.
I do. So, I mean, I guess if I had to put... So that's a very personal answer. If I had to put... a just like, I love this character answer out there, it'd probably be Capron. A very unknown Jedi. He's from the comics, and he is just a very, very cool character. He's sort of my idealized Jedi kind of character, because he's just he's so perfect in the spiritual side, but he's also perfectly imperfect in the what's the word, sort of religious side, in terms of the whole, we got to do what the council says and blah, blah. Very, very Qui-Gon, but obviously we get a lot more of Capron if you read the comics versus Qui-Gon. So I think that's why he beats out Qui-Gon, but they're both favorites for the same reason. Yeah,
I mean, I'd say a character that your favorite character does not necessarily have to be like the character that you identify with most.
Yeah, and so and that's the thing is, so I mean, Luke Skywalker was just the first gut reaction of like, oh gosh, here's my feelings.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely just a favorite hero character would be Capron. He's just great. He's a cool character.
Rex is awesome. He's a Hufflepuff, and he's my favorite hero. But I've been in Ahsoka's shoes. Like, that's...
Exactly. I mean, there's both perspectives.
I know those shoes.
There's who you are and then who you would like to be.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of Star Wars and the wide array of characters that there are, is you can see yourself in one and wish to be another, and both are okay.
Yeah.
Michael. Back to Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Why doesn't Darth Vader sense anything about Leia? He wrote this in all caps, so I think he was very excited about this one.
I've always been a person that believes if you're not looking for something, you're probably not going to worry about it. Like,
very true.
He didn't really care about Luke until after, he exploded the Death Star and found out, hey, by the way, there's this kid, we know who did the Death Star exploding up. His last name is Skywalker. And then there's that great panel where it's the shattered glass, or the cracked glass all around Darth Vader. Read the comics.
Yeah.
They're visually striking.
I think it's about opening, the door was opened for that.
Exactly.
And also by that point, Luke was in his own way open to the Force. So he was connected to the Force. We're all connected according to the lore of the Force. But
some people have a foot in the door.
Exactly. And so with Leia, she doesn't come to anything of the Force until well after episode 6. So it took Luke thinking of Leia for Darth Vader to hone in on, oh, wait. Because especially, I mean, when you do read the comics, Vader and Leia interact on a lot of instances throughout the years that pass by between episode 4 and 6. So there's a lot that could have happened, but because she's just Leia, and she sees herself as just Leia, and he sees herself as just Leia, she's just Leia. She's not a Skywalker.
And even, like, Ahsoka and Darth Vader
Mm-hmm.
is like, he wasn't looking for Ahsoka.
Right.
He didn't know she was alive.
Mm-hmm.
So when she reaches out to him to figure out what
right, all of a sudden,
is,
she's alive. Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to look at it in that door sense, like you mentioned. It depends on what doors are open or not open.
Exactly. Some people can force a door open, such
true.
as Leia and Ben.
True. But even then, it takes a lot to mentally and spiritually do that.
And I like to think that he was always kind of open to his mom.
It was unlocked, even though it said it was locked.
Exactly.
Absolutely. From our friend Jesse over at Game Infinite. If you don't know, we did a promo a while back, but Game Infinite is a platform that supports, even though it's Game Infinite, it supports cosplayers, independent content creators of any kind. It supports our weird podcast, shares it, and creates this really awesome community for creators to interact with creators. It's really cool. And so if you create something, if you're a fan of ours that creates something and would love to share that and get that out there, hit us up and we can get you in touch with our friend Jesse over at Game Infinite. He'd be more than happy to support you and what you're doing and whatnot. I mean, that's what the whole Game Infinite community is about. So let us know if you fall into that, if you're interested in that. You can also just find Game Infinite on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all that stuff, and follow them to check out what other people are doing. If you don't create something, but you're interested in supporting creators, you can do that too.
Yeah.
So he asks, favorite Star Wars droid?
Jesse, you don't know what you're asking me.
Choose!
I don't want
you
to
must choose!
I can't choose.
You can.
I can't.
Go with your gut instinct. Favorite droid? Go.
IG-88.
I figured.
Wait, does Maul count?
No.
The bottom half of Maul.
No. Yeah, his legs. Yes.
I love his legs.
Apparently.
But yeah.
IG-88.
Because he was what started this whole mess.
Yeah, I feel like I'm trying to think if there's any other droids I can really, really think of. It's got to be IG-88. It's got to be. IG-11, aka Iggy.
Iggy boy.
Is very, very cool.
Yes.
But he's a very different character. He's a much more lawful
nurse
evil
and protect
than IG-88. IG-88 is chaotic evil.
He is just
which makes him way more interesting.
Exactly. It's like the first Terminator movie.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
So amazing, so good. And like if it might be nostalgia goggles, but he has the best story in
there's even room that it still exists, in my opinion.
I agree.
Until it's overwritten, I think it still exists.
Yeah.
That's how I approach.
Based on the concept of I think, therefore I am.
Exactly.
And if that doesn't make you want...
It's Blade Runner.
Exactly.
Meets Terminator. Exactly.
Meets I have no mouth, but I must scream.
There you go.
A story that you've never read and refused to.
What? I don't even know what you're talking about.
I've told you to read that story many times. I have no mouth, but I must scream.
I mean, you've told me about it, but I haven't outright refused to read it. Is it a book?
It's a short story.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I'll pick it up.
Cool.
I'll give it to you.
Cool. All right.
What's your answer?
Mine? Yeah, IG-88.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, there's not another cool droid like that. There are cool droids.
It's the same thing with your favorite character is not necessarily the character that you identify most with. You're Chopper.
Okay, I was gonna say, if I have to pick a different answer, it'd probably be Chopper.
Yeah.
It would probably be. I do love Roger too, though. But
Roger's precious.
Yeah, like you said, I'm Chopper. I'm a grumpy old murder bot.
You really are. I hate to admit it, but I think I would just be a regular old battle droid.
You'd be Roger. You would be Roger.
Hi everyone, I'm just happy to be here.
Exactly.
I just say the first thing that comes to my brain. Look, it's Grievous.
Back to Brady. Again, some people really took advantage of sending in multiple questions, and we're grateful for it. Mm-hmm. Classic. It would not be May the 4th without a good old Star Wars question. Classic question. Who shot first?
Han.
Yes.
Moving on.
The question is not who shot first, but who shot, and it's always just Han.
It's just Han.
I'm not a big default to the originals person, but that's the one thing where I'm like, no, it it's as it was in the original.
The point of that scene is to show that Han is goading and that Han is just dope as heck.
Exactly. Well, and then I think Solo really grounds in that is the definitive. I mean, you can watch it however you want, sure, but I choose to believe that only Han shot because he's just that guy.
And I'm glad that the line was not said, but his advice was going to be shoot first.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. But I love that Han shot first.
Exactly. Because he doesn't listen.
Oh, my gosh.
Because he's Han.
Solo is such a good movie.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Dryden Voss. Did you know that Dryden Voss was in that episode of Clone Wars?
What? Yes. Oh, gosh. That one got... Yes, of course. Who else looks that sassy and has those cheekbones? Back to Jesse. If you can't tell, we're just kind of going back and forth.
Yeah.
Who would win between Phantom Menace Maul, so this is a specific era Maul, and The Rise of Skywalker Rey? So Rey in her prime and arguably Maul at his prime?
I disagree. I think that Clone Wars Maul is prime Maul because he's not trying to please Palpatine anymore. Well, he is kind of. But
I would argue that he's more refined, I guess.
Yeah. He's got
he's an angry boy.
He's angry
in episode 1. So I feel like by the Clone Wars he talks more, so I feel like right there is enough to show he's more in control of his emotions.
Yeah, exactly. And that is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Maul could talk Rey into doing something for him.
He's very convincing. Sam Witwer is a very convincing man. I mean, his chin alone makes me want to do bad things.
Okay, maybe Sam Witwer don't come on our show. I might be out of a husband.
Wait, what was it? Oh, yeah, we've got to say Maul 50 times apparently and he gets here. So, okay, well, but regardless of Prime Maul, okay, that's a different thing.
Prime
but
Maul.
Phantom Menace Maul.
Phantom Menace Maul.
Versus The Rise of Skywalker Rey. It's...
I'll
let you go first because you're the Maul fan. I love Maul too, but you know.
Yeah. Maul has an infinite amount of training at this point. Well, not an infinite amount, but he has been shaped into a killing machine at this point. He's trained so hard and he is so angry.
You're right.
That I feel like it would be a very hard, Rey with no training. It would be a hard battle. Because you're not fighting Kylo Ren, who's just tall, and that's his advantage. You're fighting 5'4" Ray Park.
Yeah.
That was the first person we met that day that I was on eyeline with, and I felt so happy. But yeah, I feel like it's like some kid with a stick fighting what's his face? Errol Flynn.
Wow.
And I'm not biased.
I don't necessarily disagree. And my thing is, thinking about it, we haven't really seen Rey operate with a lightsaber outside of a fight with Ben. And I feel like she and Ben are so united.
Yes.
They are a dyad. I feel like there's a part of the Force in every battle that they have where theirs is much more a battle of will than necessarily skill. I think The Rise of Skywalker definitely showed off. She's gotten much better with a lightsaber and everything. But I feel like Maul could definitely keep up with her. So it's really hard.
That's my point.
It's really hard. But I also feel like Rey would be unconventional enough, like Obi-Wan was.
Very true.
That would catch him off guard because he was just so into I'm powerful and strong and I can crush these Jedi.
I've been sniffing ashes.
Yeah,
read the comics.
He couldn't see out of the bounds of that's not a Jedi move or that he was easily caught off guard. And I feel like Rey pulled off some things in The Rise of Skywalker that because she's open-minded, like we've talked about, she'd try it just cause, and she could. I feel like it would come down to who can get who on an unexpected move,
like Ahsoka,
essentially.
Yeah. I
mean, I think with a character like Maul and with Rey, I feel like it comes down to doing something they can't fathom, and just taking that advantage, from catching them off guard.
Yeah, because Maul thrives on knowing stuff. He thrives on I know exactly what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. So like you said, Obi-Wan being unconventional, that's what, helped cut him in half.
Absolutely. I mean, and even when he takes down, when Obi-Wan takes down Grievous, I mean, I don't think Grievous ever expected, that blaster's a threat to me.
Mm-hmm.
He's always operating on, well, no, it's lightsabers. Lightsabers
so
is
many
win.
Arms.
And that was what was so interesting about how he got taken down was it was with something you didn't expect. Like how do you get past a guy with 4 lightsabers? A blaster?
Mm-hmm.
Really? So, yeah, I feel like Obi-Wan is the answer without being involved because it's his unconventional nature when it comes to dueling that I think either character could do. So for me, I mean, it could really, again, go either way. I really do think so. My gut says Rey, though. But that's just me.
Yeah.
But I mean, Maul's a tough cookie, so...
As much as I love my angry boy, I know it would probably be Rey, too.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm pretty sure no matter what she did, he would live, so...
Honestly,
I mean, she'd honestly probably heal him. So.
Right? Give him some legs.
Exactly. All right. So, I believe we have reached the last question.
No.
Yeah. Yes. It's a longer episode, but it's been a great one. The last one's a little easy. Jesse asked best lightsaber color. I'd go so far as to even just say favorite, I guess. I mean, what's your preferred color?
My preferred color is red.
Yes.
My favorite color is yellow.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my favorite color.
Mm-hmm.
So yellow.
Best
but also
lightsaber color,
red.
Black. Easy.
Yeah.
The Darksaber wins.
The Darksaber will always
It's the coolest lightsaber.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. No, you're fine.
What?
I was going to say I have 2 red kyber crystals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. We are definitely open to doing this again in the future. We had a lot of fun. It was really good and a lot of good questions from you guys. And I definitely think next time we could definitely get more and do more. And so if you enjoyed it, let us know and we'll see about doing another one of these maybe down the road for something casual. Who knows? No real plans. We've got, I put on Twitter and it's true. We have about 7 weeks worth of planning done so far for the podcast. So right now it's not right around the corner that we would do another one of these, but I feel like if it's good stuff, you don't want to necessarily do it all at once. So, but let us know. And also wherever you're checking this out, YouTube or whatever podcast platform, just rate, review, like, all that good stuff. And subscribe for more there and share it if you really like it to let other people know. We always love finding new friends and new fans in the community. And that only happens when people share stuff. And it's really awesome to see people loving what we do so much that they want other people to see it. That's really cool. And so hopefully you've got some really good Star Wars Day plans. I mean, obviously, Clone Wars finale, Mandalorian special,
calling my brother,
lots of cool stuff. I mean, there's lots of things happening that make it special, but do something for you that makes Star Wars Day special. Watch your favorite movie, talk about your favorite character, anything and anything that
Love
makes
them
you
all.
happy. Exactly. Whatever makes you happy, as long as it's legal and moral. All right. Well, until next time, guys, I've been your herd leader, John Wayne.
And I've been your Maul.
Okay. May the Force be with you.